What advice would you give, some young athletes or people that just want peak performance, whether it's peak physical performance or cognitive performance? Everyone's trying to get that 2 millimeter difference. What advice would you give? What would you give young kids today or young people today trying to be the best they can be?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me it all starts with how you think about things, how you approach it, because I mean, I don't presume to have any magic recipe, because the fact is everyone's so different and their strengths and weaknesses. If you think of it, I like thinking of it like a toolbox. People have a toolbox and all the things that are in there are what are available to them on a daily basis. Some cases it's not even daily. Sometimes you wake up for whatever reason, you have a shitty toolbox that day, and the first person that talks to you and pisses you off, you can't manage it. And other days you have a big ass wall craftsman and you can deal with anything and you're successful in whatever you do. But in terms of athletics, those toolboxes are generally have to do with physical ability, technique, all the different aspects that apply to your sport. And I think it's really underappreciated, underutilized, the importance of introspection and truly being honest and checking out where your skills are, where they aren't, and where your weaknesses are, and how you approach all that.
How did you come across the BioCharger? Let's talk a little bit about just kind of your experience so far, but how you came across it.
Yeah, I've been involved in energy stuff forever, since I was a kid, being around hippies all the time with crystals and, meditation, energy work, drum circles, all sorts of things at these festivals and everything. And I recognized that there was something there, but most of it fell into a category that was kind of hokey or goofy and too sort of abstract for me to really take seriously or relate to. Although I definitely recognized there was tangible stuff there. There was something there. I just didn't really. And then as I progressed through, I always gravitated towards people who had knowledge or experience in those spaces. So I met with a guy over in Austria who's a modern Chinese medicine guy and was extensively trained in China, this medicine type that comes from acupressure and evolves, and he was the only foreigner that ever accepted into there, and he had to go there for 5 years and couldn't leave, and learned he didn't speak any Chinese, and in the end he spoke obviously perfect Chinese and everything else, and had a really unique story. But he worked on energy a lot using Chinese medicine techniques, but a lot of it was stuff he developed on his own. And I was already doing a lot of similar stuff just on my own without really knowing what I was doing, but out of a utilitarian kind of sense. And so as we discovered more in our work together about that, I was pushed more towards researching some of the early versions of what the BioCharger is, with Nikola Tesla's work and different guys who are studying harmonics, frequencies, the stuff that happened in the body, the cellular stuff, all the way down to DNA frequencies and harmonics and how they all interact. And so I mean, I guess I've been somewhat aware of it for a long time, but hadn't really had the right scenario where a device became important to me. I mean, it was mostly just me, and I felt like while I'm sure I could have enhanced a lot of stuff with all the knowledge and stuff that if I could cumulatively have combined everyone's stuff, I was managing fine on my own, and I've never really worried about that. But with my family and kids and stuff, I decided that I wanted to dig into it and start exploring more of what was out there and what people had, because I think we are in a phase now where people are starting to understand things that I was really focused on at 6, 7, 8 years old, and it's here we are 35 years later, and it's kind of becoming more mainstream. So I wanted to kind of look at what other people were coming up with from a scientific medical side to a spiritual, woo-woo side, and see what was out there. And one of the first things that popped in was the BioCharger, and I read about it and researched it and checked it out, and thought that there was a lot of really smart, logical elements to it, and no downside at all. So I cold called you and said, hey, this is Bode. I'd be interested in seeing what you guys are doing and talking a bit. So
anything else you would say to somebody who was possibly viewing this and thinking about how they want energy to affect their body, or anything else they could do to help their own personal health and wellness?
Well, I mean, yeah, I think that no one on the planet who has any scientific knowledge or brain is going to tell you that energy isn't all around us, affecting us all the time. Everything from radio waves and cell phone waves and microwaves and solar radiation, I mean, it's all hitting us all the time these days. It's everywhere. So to try to act like this isn't something that's viable, I think is completely pointless. To take one step into it and say, look, if this is all happening anyway, and I know there's electricity in my body, fully measurable by every different scientist or in any medical field, and we know all sorts of things about low voltage cells and how the body works with its energy systems and how everything interacts, why wouldn't you take a proactive approach to that? Why wouldn't you give your body a chance, to upgrade, to just help things out a little bit? To me, that's sort of where I've always stood, is like, regardless of anything else, why not? There's no downside to it, and I think there's a huge upside, and you just don't know. Again, you think that everyone wants to think that they're on this island of their own, and their thoughts and everything else are their own. The reality is that as soon as you start working with energy and your cells start to be charged up, or you optimize what's happening inside your body, you just don't know which direction that might lead you in. In my experience, it's always positive. So I don't see any reason that anybody shouldn't be trying it, experimenting it, using it regularly, regardless of whether their health is poor, medium, or excellent. I think there's ultimately it's something that every single human should be doing.